Okay, so extract C, folks. You're looking at these questions. How does the opening of the reenactment reflect the unstable nature of truth? In what ways does their interaction at the top of 23 compromise our ability to pin down truth itself? And what aspects of irony are at work in the exchange between the superintendent and the maniac, from we've got incontrovertible proof down to brilliant? So, first question about the reenactment. Now, we obviously have this sense of theatricality that is constructed throughout page 22, with the maniac in this kind of directorial role, playing the anarchist. And we've seen them re-perform the entrance several times. We've already seen this sense of it being unstable. Then the superintendent says, "It's no use trying to pull the wool over my eyes, Sonny." And he begins with a false reenactment. So we've got this sense in which we've already seen them reenact the entrance several times. And now we've got something that the maniac reveals sort of indirectly to be false. He says, "That's not what I've got here. This is a documentary reconstruction." And so, without actually proving what he's got written down, he just extracts the lies from them. And then the superintendent very clearly says, "Right, you filthy pox-ridden pansy, you piss me about one more time and I'll..." Sorry to interrupt, it was piss me about. I think so. Good, carry on. So he completely tricks him here and gets him to confirm his use of aggressive, clandestine, illegal methods of interrogation through this performance and reenactment that seems farcical, but we're being told is reality. The superintendent further down says, "We've got incontrovertible proof you're the murdering turd who planted the bombs in the railway station." Now here, this is just exposed as empty language because the maniac asks them if he has proof, and then the superintendent says, "Of course not." So it exposes the way deception creates truth, and that the categories between truth and reality are destabilized. Now, the great irony here is that the maniac is using exactly the same method to expose their own unreality. So we've got this flawed truth being exposed through a method of deception that the maniac's carrying out that results in us losing track of what truth really means. And the superintendent explains this. It's just one of those deceptions we're occasionally obliged to resort to. And then the maniac lights up and says, "I see a trap." And the great dramatic irony here is precisely this, that he's trapping them as they admit to their own kind of trapping. He, by doing his own kind of entrapment, he is creating this entrapment of them, which reveals their own attempt to do the same thing to the anarchist. And so we have this sort of double-layered irony. Now, at the bottom of this, we have logical fallacies that the maniac uses. Of course, it's self-evident. So as it was undoubtedly the case that a railway worker must have planted the bomb in the railway station, then we can also assert that the famous bombs in the law courts must have been planted there by a lawyer. The one at the agricultural bank by a bank clerk or a cow, whichever takes your fancy, and the bomb at the tomb of the unknown soldier undoubtedly perpetrated by a corpse. Now he exposes the completely flawed logic. It's actually a logical fallacy that he mocks here that's called faulty causation, to draw attention to their flawed and weak thinking. And so here we've got this sense of their actually quite intellectually pathetic nature of their logic being used on the basis of these criminal convictions.